The storm had left behind a trail of devastation, and as I walked along the rugged coastline, the aftermath was evident. Debris scattered across the shore, the waves still roaring in the distance. I was searching for anything salvageable when I noticed something unusual up ahead. There, lying motionless on the sand, was a young orca. Her glossy black and white skin was covered in shallow cuts, and her breathing was labored. She looked impossibly large and powerful, yet heartbreakingly vulnerable as she struggled to survive. As I moved closer, I saw something distinctive, a crescent-shaped scar near her dorsal fin. It looked fresh, contrasting sharply against her smooth skin, as if marking her ordeal. She let out a faint, sorrowful cry that sent a chill down my spine. Without thinking, I rushed to her side. Her massive body was warm but drying quickly under the harsh sun. I knew the clock was ticking. She wouldn't last long here. Grabbing a bucket from the nearby debris, I began pouring seawater over her skin to keep her cool. Her eyes, dark and intelligent, seemed to follow me. It felt as though she understood I was trying to help. Looking out at the horizon, I realized I couldn't do this alone, but the nearest help was miles away, and time wasn't on our side. Determined, I stayed with her, whispering words of encouragement, hoping she would hold on just a little longer. As the sun climbed higher, the urgency of the situation pressed down on me. The young orca's breathing grew shallower and her cries softer. I couldn't let her die here. The scar near her dorsal fin glinted in the sunlight, a reminder of her struggle. With no help in sight, I realized I'd have to act fast. Using a piece of driftwood, I began digging a trench from the waterline to where she lay. It was grueling work, the salty air stinging my lungs and sweat dripping into my eyes. But I refused to stop. Finally, the trench was ready, and I let the tide do its work. As the water trickled toward her, I could see her body relax slightly, the moisture soothing her dry skin. But she was still stranded, her massive weight keeping her pinned against the sand. Desperate, I tied a rope around her tail fin and secured the other end to an old fishing boat that had washed ashore. Every muscle in my body screamed as I pulled and strained, trying to move her closer to the water. She let out a mournful sound, and for a moment, I thought I'd hurt her. But then her large eye focused on me again, full of determination. It was as if she was willing herself to fight alongside me. With one final heave, the waves surged in, and she shifted. The ocean kissed her fins, and her cries grew stronger, echoing with hope. But I knew we weren't safe yet. The water wasn't deep enough, and the tide was retreating. Time was still running out. My arms were trembling from exhaustion, but I couldn't stop. The young orca's cries grew louder, each one piercing the air like a plea for survival. The scar near her dorsal fin glimmered as water began to lap over her body. I whispered words of encouragement, even though I wasn't sure she could understand me. Just as I was about to give up, a stronger wave rolled in, lifting her slightly. I seized the moment, pushing against her side with all my strength. Her body shifted again, inching closer to the deeper water. The ocean seemed to join my efforts, pulling her farther away from the shore. Then a sudden gust of wind nearly knocked me off balance, and I noticed the tide beginning to shift. The waves were growing more powerful. If I could just keep her steady, they might carry her out. But the risk was enormous. If she got caught in the retreating waves, she might end up even more stranded. Summoning every ounce of determination, I waded into the water, guiding her with gentle pushes. Her large eyes stayed locked on mine, as though she trusted me completely. The scar near her fin gleamed, a silent reminder of her will to survive. Finally, a massive wave surged forward, engulfing both of us. For a terrifying moment, I thought I'd lose her. But as the water receded, she was floating, her fins moving weakly but steadily. A triumphant sound echoed from her, a deep, resonant call that sent chills down my spine. She was free, but she didn't swim away immediately. Instead, she lingered, her gaze fixed on me. It felt like a moment of gratitude, something I'd never experienced before. Then, with a powerful swish of her tail, she disappeared into the deep blue, leaving only a ripple behind. I stood there, soaked and shivering, my heart pounding with relief and awe. Little did I know, this wasn't the end of our story. It was only the beginning. Days passed, but my thoughts often drifted to the young orca. I couldn't forget the way her dark eyes had met mine, or the scar near her dorsal fin, a mark as unique as a fingerprint. I began spending more time near the coast, scanning the horizon as if she might appear again. One quiet morning, as the sun painted the ocean gold, I spotted something unusual in the distance. A sleek black fin broke the surface, cutting through the water with purpose. My heart skipped a beat. Was it her? I moved closer to the edge of the shore, squinting against the sunlight. The fin disappeared for a moment, and then there she was, rising majestically from the waves. Her movements were graceful yet deliberate, as if she knew exactly where to find me. She swam closer, her massive body gliding effortlessly through the water. The scar near her dorsal fin confirmed it. It was her. I couldn't help but laugh, a sound of pure amazement and joy. She lingered near the shallows, her head bobbing above the surface. It felt like she was greeting me, like an old friend reunited. I spoke softly, unsure if she could understand, but feeling the need to say something. "You came back." She responded with a series of clicks and whistles, a language as mysterious as the ocean itself. It was then I noticed she wasn't alone. Behind her, another orca surfaced, a larger one, perhaps her mother or an older sibling. The sight was breathtaking, but it also filled me with a sense of wonder. Why had she returned? Was it gratitude, curiosity, or something deeper? As I stood there, the connection between us felt undeniable, as if the ocean itself had brought us together for a reason. Little did I know, the bond we shared would soon be tested in ways I could never have imagined. The next day I returned to the shore, my heart heavy with anticipation. I didn't know why, but I felt a deep connection to the orcas. It wasn't just their sheer power or beauty, it was something else. Perhaps it was the shared sense of survival, of navigating a world that could be as dangerous as it was beautiful. As I stood there, watching the waves crash against the rocks, I heard a familiar sound, clicks and whistles carried by the wind. I turned, and there she was, the young orca, swimming alone. She approached with the same graceful elegance, but this time there was an urgency to her movements. Her eyes locked with mine, and in that moment, I understood. She was trying to tell me something. She clicked frantically, her body shifting restlessly in the water. Then, as if to confirm her distress, she suddenly dove deep, disappearing beneath the waves. Panic surged through me. What could be wrong? Had something happened to her? Was she in danger? Without a second thought, I ran along the coastline, searching the water for any sign of her. I called out to her, my voice rising in desperation. Minutes felt like hours, and just as I was beginning to lose hope, I saw her again. But this time, there was no calm in her movements. She was circling back, and behind her, I saw the dark shape of a shark fin. My heart dropped. A predator was closing in on her. She was in danger. Without hesitation, I ran to the boat I had stored nearby, my mind racing. I had to help. I couldn't just stand by and watch. I pulled the boat into the water, paddling as fast as I could, my heart pounding in my chest. As I neared the orca, I saw the shark's fin rise higher, its movements predatory and swift. The young orca swam in circles, trying to dodge its attacks, but she was growing tired. The shark was relentless. Just then, a loud burst of water erupted from the ocean. It was the larger orca, the one I had seen the day before. She emerged from the depths, her powerful body breaking through the surface with astonishing speed. The shark, now aware of the new threat, hesitated for just a moment. That was all the larger orca needed. With a series of deafening clicks and a surge of power, the larger orca lunged at the shark, forcing it to retreat. The predator swam away, disappearing into the deep blue. I watched in awe as the two orcas circled back to me. The young orca approached, her movements slower now, but the fear in her eyes had been replaced with something else, relief, and perhaps even gratitude. I could hardly believe what had just happened. The orcas had saved each other, and in turn, they had saved me. As the larger orca swam away, disappearing into the horizon, the young orca lingered a moment longer, as if to say goodbye. Then, with a final click, she dove beneath the surface, vanishing into the vast ocean. I sat in the boat, staring out at the water, my heart still racing. What had just happened? I had witnessed something extraordinary, something beyond the realm of the everyday. And yet, deep down, I knew this wasn't the end of the story. It was just the beginning. The following weeks passed in a blur of questions and uncertainty. I couldn't stop thinking about what had happened, the way the orcas had worked together to save each other, and me. There was something almost mystical about that bond they shared, a connection that went beyond human understanding. I returned to the coast every day, hoping to catch another glimpse of them, but the ocean seemed vast and endless. The waves rolled in with no sign of the orcas. I started to wonder if it had all been a dream, if I had imagined the entire thing. But the memory of that fierce, majestic moment stayed with me, etched in my mind. One afternoon, while I was sitting on the shore, lost in thought, I heard it. A familiar click, far off in the distance. My heart leapt. Could it be them? I grabbed my binoculars and scanned the horizon, my breath caught in my throat. And then I saw her, the young orca, breaking through the surface just as she had done before. She was alone this time, but I could tell she was searching for something, or someone. She was moving frantically, her eyes darting around, as if trying to locate me. With a rush of adrenaline, I jumped into my boat, paddling with all my strength toward her. As I drew closer, I could see the distress in her movements. She was calling out to me, her clicks sharp and urgent, and I realized something was wrong. The water beneath me grew darker, murkier, and I could feel a cold shiver run down my spine. This wasn't just a casual visit. Something was threatening her again, and I had to act fast. I called out to her, trying to reassure her, but she wasn't responding to my voice. She was desperate, her movements erratic, her eyes wild with fear. Suddenly, I heard a sound. It was low at first, like a distant rumble, but as it grew louder, my heart sank. A series of sharp fins broke through the surface. Sharks! There were at least 5 of them, circling the orca, moving in for the kill. I froze, panic setting in. What could I do? I wasn't a fighter. I wasn't prepared for this. I looked to the orca for guidance, and that's when I saw it. There, just beneath the surface, the shadow of a larger orca gliding silently. It was her. The older orca, the one who had saved us both before, was back. She was the protector, the warrior of the sea. She surged upward, her body cutting through the water with unmatchable speed, a show of pure power. I held my breath as the larger orca collided with one of the sharks, sending it careening through the water. The other sharks hesitated, confused by the sudden change in the fight. But the larger orca wasn't done yet. She attacked again, her movements graceful yet deadly as she chased the sharks away. With each strike, the sharks retreated, one by one, until they disappeared into the depths. The orcas had won again. I couldn't believe my eyes. The sharks had been no match for the might of these incredible creatures. But even more incredible was the bond they shared. The older orca had come back to protect the young one, and me, once again. As the larger orca swam back toward the open sea, the young orca turned to me, her eyes filled with gratitude. She clicked softly, and for a moment, I felt like I understood her entirely. She was not just an animal. She was a friend, a companion in the vast ocean. With a final click, she swam away, disappearing into the waves, leaving me with a feeling of awe and wonder that would stay with me forever. I returned to the shore, my heart still racing from the encounter. What had I just witnessed? And why had these magnificent creatures chosen me as part of their journey? I didn't have the answers, but I knew one thing for sure. This was far from the last time I would encounter them. The ocean was calling, and I was ready to answer. Weeks passed since the battle with the sharks, but the memory of that day clung to me, as vivid as the crashing waves. Something had changed, something I couldn't explain. I began spending every free moment by the sea, watching, waiting. Some days, the ocean was alive with movement, but there was no sign of the orcas. Other days, it was quiet, the stillness broken only by my thoughts. Had they left? Moved on? Or was it all just a fleeting miracle that would never return? And yet, I hoped. One evening, the sun slipped below the horizon, painting the water in hues of gold and crimson. I was about to leave when I heard it. A faint, familiar click. My heart froze. I turned toward the sound, my eyes scanning the endless blue, but nothing appeared. The clicks grew louder, more urgent. They were calling for me. With trembling hands, I pushed my boat into the water and paddled out. The ocean was calm, like a stage set for something extraordinary. And then, there she was. The young orca emerged from the water with a graceful arch, her black and white markings glistening in the twilight. But something was different this time. Her movements were frantic, her clicks rapid and sharp. She wasn't here just to see me. She needed me. Without hesitation, I rowed closer. As I neared her, I saw it, her identifying mark. A deep crescent-shaped scar just above her dorsal fin. The same mark I had noticed that first day when we met. But her eyes, Her eyes held fear, and then I saw why. A dark shadow cut through the water behind her, followed by another and another. Sharks. Not just one or two, but a pack. They weren't only after her, they were coming for me. The days following the shark attack were filled with a strange sense of calm. The ocean seemed quieter, the sky clearer, and life felt almost serene again. But beneath that calm, I could feel the change within myself, a deeper connection to the ocean, a deeper connection to the orcas. I went back to the beach every day, waiting for them to return. And when they did, it wasn't just a visit anymore. It was as if we were meeting as equals. The orca, with her powerful presence, and I, with my newfound respect for the ocean and its creatures. We both understood something that we hadn't before, that we weren't so different after all. It had been weeks since that dramatic encounter, and though the orcas hadn't returned for a while, I never stopped thinking about them. And just as I was beginning to believe that perhaps they had moved on, I received a call that would change everything. A marine biologist who had heard rumors of the orca sightings reached out to me. He had been studying orcas for years, and after hearing my story, he was eager to meet. He explained that the young orca I had encountered was part of a rare group of orcas known for their unusual behavior. Not only had they developed a bond with humans, but they were also known for their incredible intelligence and protective instincts. The scientist was fascinated by the connection I had forged with the orcas and suggested that we work together to track them. He believed that the orcas had recognized something in me, something special, and that the bond I had formed with them could be used to help protect the entire pod from dangers like the shark attack. I agreed without hesitation. I felt a sense of duty now, a responsibility to the orcas and to the ocean that had given me so much. And so, with the biologist's guidance, we began our search. For weeks, we followed the clues, the underwater signals, the strange patterns that the orcas left behind. It wasn't easy, but I never gave up. Each time we thought we were getting closer, something new would happen, a new clue, a new mystery to solve. And then, one day, as we sailed farther out than ever before, I spotted it. A shadow in the water, an enormous shape that rose and fell with the rhythm of the ocean. It was the orcas. They were waiting for us. As we approached, the young orca broke through the surface, her sleek black and white body glistening in the sunlight. She clicked once, and it was as if she was calling me by name. I didn't hesitate. I jumped into the water, knowing that this was it, the moment I had been waiting for. With the biologist close behind, I swam toward her. She circled around me, her movements fluid and graceful. Then I saw it, the scar, just beneath her dorsal fin. The same scar from the shark attack. She was remembering. The orca slowed her pace, turning her head to face me. Her eyes, so full of intelligence and emotion, locked with mine. It was as if she was asking me to trust her once again. And I did. We followed the pod further into the depths of the ocean, deeper than I had ever gone before. The water grew colder, the pressure heavier, but there was a sense of purpose now, something driving us forward. We were not just two beings following each other. We were on a mission to protect the future of the orca pod. As we reached a secluded cove, the orcas stopped. There, in the middle of the water, we saw it, a massive net, tangled and stretched across the entire bay, designed to trap large marine creatures. It was a fishing trap, one that had been set by illegal poachers. The orcas, sensing danger, moved with quiet urgency, their bodies weaving through the net. It was clear that they had encountered this before. They knew how to escape, but this time they needed help. The biologist and I worked together, carefully cutting the net with knives and tools, freeing the trapped orcas. One by one, the orcas swam free, their movements graceful and powerful. The young orca, who had led us here, turned and swam alongside us, as if guiding us. When the last orca was free, the young one circled around me once more, nudging my arm gently. I looked into her eyes, knowing this was the moment that would define everything. She had saved me, and now we had saved her. As the pod swam off into the vast ocean, I felt a sense of peace that I had never known before. We were connected, forever bound by the same waters, the same sky, and the same purpose. And as I watched them disappear into the horizon, I knew one thing for certain. This was only the beginning of an incredible journey.